Roth IRAs have two different 5-year rules. One applies to conversions and the other applies to contributions. They're different. Let's talk about it to help with your retirement planning. Roth IRAs are an extremely popular retirement planning vehicle, and I want to go over the differences between the conversion 5-year rule and the contribution 5-year rule. They're not the same. They have a different purpose, different rules, different guidelines. The IRS, they couldn't have made this any more convoluted. However, understanding these different rules are really going to help in your retirement planning and being able to distribute your funds from a Roth IRA fully and completely tax-free in the future, because that's what we all want. That's what we want. Let's talk about the 5-year rule for the traditional contribution. So you have earned income, you're within the income limits, and you have the ability to contribute, take your cash and put it into a Roth IRA and invest it. The whole point about doing this is you invest over the years, that invested amount grows, and that growth becomes tax-free in the future as long as you keep the rules. Usually, the biggest rules are you get all that money from your Roth IRA completely tax-free if you meet two criteria. One, you're usually age 59 and a half, or you meet some other type of exception, and you meet the 5-year holding period, the 5-year account opening rule. It's the 5-year rule that everyone's talking about. So the 5-year rule for contributions essentially states that 5 tax years must pass from when the first contribution is made to the Roth IRA before you can withdraw the earnings completely tax-free. Now, let me throw this little caveat in there. Your contributions, your money that you put in, can always come out tax-free when it comes to contributions. Right now, we're only talking about contributions. Keep conversions to the side of your mind for now. So your contributions can always come out tax-free. So the 5-year holding period needs to happen before your earnings can come out completely tax-free as well. The clock starts on January 1st of the year that you made the contribution. So again, 5 years need to pass. So if we were going to play this out, it would probably start in the year 2017. So let's say you made your first contribution in 2017. Then 5 years would have to pass: 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Then here in 2022, you in theory, if you've met another set of criteria, usually reaching age 59 and a half, and met that 5-year holding period, which would be the year of 2022, you could withdraw your contributions and any earnings completely tax-free and penalty-free, which is what we want. Remember a couple things. The earnings is the key component here. So the earnings wants to come out tax-free and penalty-free in a Roth IRA. That's what we really want. So when it comes to contributions only happens once. So as soon as you make that first contribution, your 5-year clock starts. So if you start early with a contribution, and then 10, 20 years down the road, you're making more contributions, it's not a new 5-year clock with every contribution. The first contribution starts that 5-year clock. Let's say in 2010, you made your first contribution. The 5-year clock passes, it's done at that point. The money's unlocked and we're ready to go moving forward. You just need to meet another criteria to get those earnings out tax and penalty free. The last key here is it's not per account either. If you open up other Roth IRA accounts at other custodians for whatever reason, it's fine. You're not starting a new 5-year clock, because the IRS views all Roth IRAs as one big pot of money. It's all tied to your Social Security number. So you don't need to worry about opening up other Roth IRAs later. All right, 5-year rule number 2. So here's the difference. Now we're talking about conversions. Let's put contributions that we just spoke about to the side, and let's talk about conversions. Conversions are different. Conversions are where you take pre-tax dollars, or IRA dollars or 401k dollars. You pull the money out of them, pay the taxes now, and roll the money into a Roth IRA, which is called a conversion. This is a really interesting tool that people use throughout their years to prepare for retirement, to move pre-tax dollars. They got the tax deduction the year the money went in a pre-tax account. And then they want to convert them and get them to the Roth IRA to take advantage of those tax-free earnings. But to do that, you got to pay taxes on them first. And this conversion can happen before age 59 and a half and avoid the 10% penalty. So first think conversion. You have $50,000 in an IRA. You want to get that into a Roth IRA. So you take the $50,000 out of the pre-tax IRA, you pay taxes on $50,000, no penalty, and you put that money into a Roth IRA account. That's called a conversion. When that conversion happens, that starts a 5-year clock. Now remember that 5-year clock, because here's one big difference between a contribution 5-year clock and a conversion 5-year clock, is because every conversion starts a new 5-year clock. So if you made a conversion this year in 2022, that starts a 5-year clock. If next year you made another conversion, that starts another 5-year clock for the ordering rules of how money comes out of the account. And more specifically, how that money comes out of the account before age 59 and a half. So another big key component is the contribution 59 and a half rule really comes into play. To get money out of a contribution in a Roth IRA out, the 59 and a half age really matters. The conversion age really matters as well, but do know, after age 59 and a half, conversion 5-year rules don't matter. It doesn't matter after age 59 and a half about a conversion 5-year rule. A conversion 5-year rule really only matters before age 59 and a half. So here's an example. Let's say you're 50 years old and you have an IRA that has $50,000 in it. You have a regular IRA that's $50,000 in it. Since it's before the age of 59 and a half, if you want to pull money out of that IRA, that $50,000 would be taxed and it would be penalized. That's a huge element of this. So what people would like to do, the reason the 5-year rule is in place is, let's say that there was no 5-year rule and you did a conversion of the $50,000 from a traditional IRA into the Roth IRA. If there was no 5-year rule, that $50,000, you have to pay taxes on it. That's unavoidable. But then from the Roth IRA, you could turn around and pull the money out and avoid a 10% penalty. Because now, since you pay the taxes, that money is basis. The 5-year rule is put in place to avoid this 10% early withdrawal penalty avoidance method. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry. So the 5-year rule means that when you take that $50,000 out of the traditional IRA, pay taxes on it, and put it into a Roth IRA, it has to stay there for 5 years. That's the big key component. Going along with that same example, if you are still only 55, now what happens is, since you've exceeded the 5-year rule, what you really want to avoid the taxation and the penalty on is the earnings now. So the 5-year rule, if you're under 59 and a half on a conversion, helps protect the principal that you already pay taxes on, but it still doesn't protect the earnings and the growth from the taxation early withdrawal penalty. So if you're 50 and you get to 55, you still need to wait another 4.5 years before you can get the earnings and the growth out tax-free to exceed that 59 and a half number. The bottom line is simply this. The conversion rule, the 5-year conversion rule, is to help protect principal. Remember, principal taxation and penalty avoidance, like we discussed before. And then the contribution 5-year rule is to help mitigate the earnings. But a lot of times with the 5-year rule, remember, on contributions, the money that you contribute comes out first due to ordering rules, so you may not even reach the earnings, depending on how much money you have in the Roth IRA, till later. But it's important to be aware of both of them in your planning situation. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.